Good evening, loyal opposition. Good evening, Barbados. Good evening, the Caribbean. Good evening, the world. How is everybody doing today? Oh my goodness. Hope you had a great day. I had a wonderful day, hardworking day. Hardworking day. Reflecting on it, I will say it was wonderful. But while you're in the midst of it, you're working very, very hard. And so that's the kind of day that it has been for me, a day where I'm working very hard, and I'm drinking my tea very early. I'm actually here drinking just cocoa without milk or sugar. Anybody ever had that? It's so revitalizing. A spoonful of cocoa in hot water, and it for me, it's been working like coffee. So I haven't, had to have any coffee in the last couple of days because I've been drinking this, and it's really revitalizing. How is it going with my Wi-Fi? I feel like there's a delay on me. Let me know, guys, how my Wi-Fi is. Yes, good night, everybody. Good night. Now, as you would have expected, because on Mondays, Dr. Ferdinand, he moderates on Mondays. But unfortunately, it's 30 minutes just before the show started, I was getting ready to just watch the show. I was getting ready to just watch the show tonight because he had a great lineup. Tonight is his night. And unfortunately, he called to say he had a death in the family, so he's had to run off with the family. So please keep him, Dr. Ferdinand, in your prayers this evening. Father, we just pray for him right now. We pray for the peace of God over Dr. Ferdinand, who was supposed to be our host tonight, but he's gone off to be with his family because he was called only 30 minutes before the show started, or 34 minutes before the show started, to be exact. And at that time, he called me, and I just had to rush and get dressed to be on. So we are on tonight, and by God's grace, we are going to get through tonight, and we are going to have a great evening. How many of you know that there's something great in store for every single one of us that's on here tonight? Trust you had a great day. As I said, I'm here sipping on my chocolate, my cup of chocolate. We said chocolate tea, right? Yes. Condolences to Dr. Ferdinand, and his family. Yes, please say a prayer wherever you are. If you could stop and say a prayer for Dr. Ferdinand right now, that would be very, very helpful. Because that is nothing to deal with at all. That's tough. So we're gonna pause wherever you are and say a prayer. One of his in-laws, not his child or wife, but it's an in-law. But it's still someone very close to him, and his family needs him at this time. And it is for that reason why he's not on. Yes, Marcia, we say chocolate tea. Now, before I play, we're going to get ready now to play the national anthem. But as usual, I'm going to ask you to share. I'm going to ask you to like, and I'm going to ask you to subscribe. All right. So I need you to subscribe to the channel. All right. So let's go right into the national anthem at this time. Okay. And then we're going to come back on and chat a little bit. Yes, Barbados, firm craftsmen of our faith. And we when we think about when we just stop and think about our beautiful country, beautiful flag, and we think about all of us as Barbadians, and we think about what we are experiencing in Barbados right now. Listen, folks, I was in town yesterday at Independence Square. I took the bus with everybody to St. Lucie, and the number of homeless people that were just lying there. Oh my goodness. I don't know how you pass them. I don't know how you manage, but it's so shocking for me, so startling for me. That's more like when we used to live in the US and I would see all of these homeless people in Harlem, and just to see all these black bodies lying there on the ground. There was a man, he was lying there on a piece of cardboard speaking to his mother. And I could hear him making fun with his mother, but he was there sleeping on the streets. He was Indian and he sounded a bit Guyanese, like he could be Guyanese. And he was talking to his mom. It's like you're talking to your mom on a Sunday, but his bed was the ground outside, right there in Independence Square, and he put his head up against a tree, and he was talking to his mother. There were people just lying there. They didn't look as though they were on drugs. I don't know, but they seemed like they were just homeless people just lying there. And that is so unusual for Barbados. Isn't that unusual? I remember seeing a lot of that in Harlem when we went to church in Harlem. We used to live in Queens, and we went to church in Harlem. And that's where we see quite a number of homeless people. And here we are in Barbados, just so many that are homeless. We get so many calls that come through that I don't know sometimes what to do. Yeah. It is really sad. And a couple months ago, way up in the year, this gentleman wrote me a little note, and look, I still have it here. Look, it's tattered, it's a little tattered, but I keep it because I like to keep things like these. These help me to keep grounded. Okay. So this, I have this little note here, and it says, "Blessings on you, Marcia. Please start a benevolent fund or a charity that would take care of such emergencies or expenses such as legal aid to the vulnerable, oppressed, fire and flood victims, single mothers who really need a helping hand, school children who need help, etc. Make appeal to the loyal opposition, home and abroad, in the diaspora, both in monetary and in kind. Here is my startup donation of $200. I pledge to donate 100 monthly towards this endeavor. And believe it or not, this gentleman, up to yesterday, I saw him and he donated. Sometimes he takes it to Caswell's office. He says, "This is a rush because my original letter cannot be found, which is more detailed." So he had written me a more detailed letter and he couldn't find it. He says, "Yes, the government has given me a pension." And he is given this $100 from his pension. This is his handwritten letter that he wrote to me quite a few months ago, almost a year ago. And back, I think it's back in January or so, and I kept it, tattered as it might be. I have not lost it. I kept this little letter here, um because I keep it close to remind me, Marcia. It is so important that you take care of those who are oppressed, take care of those who can't take care of themselves. And I want us to join in getting this done. I want to thank you for those we were waiting on a fridge and a stove for a while, and we got the fridge and the stove. I am just now having to organize the transportation of these things. So we have to organize the transportation. There is someone on the line by the name of Cami. If anybody knows Cammy, Cami was on the line, and Cami said that they would he would donate a fridge. Cami, I need you to call me because that fridge belongs to a lady who takes care of the homeless, Donna, and Donna needs that fridge. Okay, her fridge, she cooks for the homeless every week, and her fridge died on her, and so she needs a fridge. And so Cami had said, but I didn't get a message from Cami. In fact, I called the wrong person. I know another Cami, and I called that Cami, and they said, no, it's not me, right? So if you know who that Cami is, or if Cami, if you are listening, excuse me, Cami, if you are listening, I'm going to kindly ask you to get in touch with us so that we can reach out to you and get this refrigerator to Donna, who watches the show, and her refrigerator is down. So she uses that refrigerator to take care of, because she feeds the homeless. The homeless population in Barbados is growing, and it is because a lot of people are finding it difficult to buy, just the basic things to get shelter. I know people who are working and have just been built up something and living on a piece of land because they just cannot afford rent. I know one young man, he called me, he said, Mom, I thank you. We got we got a job for him, but he says, I have nowhere to sleep. So I've been sleeping outside. He said he caught dengue from sleeping outside because the mosquitoes, bit him. But he's trying to get up every morning to go to work. It is tough for young people, tough for millennials, tough for everybody in Barbados, and we have to be our brothers' keepers. So once again, if Cami is listening or anybody sees Cami come on tonight, I'm going to ask you to please ask Cami to give me a call, because it is going to be important that we are able to reach out to Cami so that we can get that refrigerator for Donna, who feeds the homeless. She does it through the Pastor Leacock's church right there near Queen's Park. And I've been to her house on a Saturday morning when she was cooking for the homeless. So, and I know she does good work. Donna does fantastic work. So I'm going to ask Cami to reach out to me, please. In addition to that, if you are listening to this and you say, Marcia, I want to be on that benevolent team. I want to be part of that team that takes care of single mothers and those who are who are having a tough time in this economy right now. Are you that person? Give me a call, 236-7000. Even if you're in the diaspora, that's okay. I've received only today, I received not today, but last week, someone from Washington sent down socks and underwears and so on for children. Others, I was in the UK, and I received a bag of stationery that I was able to bring to Elevated for Life. And Elevated for Life came out of the Marcia Week show. What is Elevated for Life? Elevated for Life it's an educational program for school leavers that happens on Saturdays and one day in the week. And it is run by Sonia. And I don't want to give out everybody's name. I don't know if she'll allow me to do that. But it's run by someone from our coordinators from the Loyal Opposition, somebody who watches the show. That's how I met her, from watching the show. And a lot of the teachers are, past teachers and past guidance counselors. And this program seeks to help those who have left school and they have problems with reading and computing, etc. It's called Elevated for Life. and the name actually was given to it by a UWI student. Yes, by a UWI student, gave the name to the program, and the program is running on a Saturday. So I was able to I took those, all of what I received, the stationery that I received from those who watched the program in UK. There are people who watch the program in UK, believe it or not, right? And they were able to bring stuff for me to take home to Barbados, right? So I was able to take stuff home to Barbados for those for young people in the Elevated for Life. I packed it in my suitcase and brought it down. And so I want to give a shout out to those in the diaspora who are always responding. There's some of you in the diaspora, you're always responding. And I want to give a big shout out to you tonight, whether in kind or you or monetarily. And that's what this little letter says here. And so our benevolent fund is going, but we want to formalize it. We want to formalize it. Okay. What do you all think about that? Let me hear some thoughts from you. Judy, good night. Good night, Judy. I'm doing everything backwards tonight. I'm just saying good night. Good night, Judy. How are you? What do you think about us starting an official benevolent fund? Teroni Hall, good night. Good night. Good night. Queen B, good night. Jacqueline Allen, good night. What do you think about us starting this benevolent fund officially? ADG, good night. Mildred Ben. Mildred, good night. How do you feel about us starting this fund officially? Marcia, good night. Jefferson Sobers, good night. Vernon Garnes, how are you? Sir Alfred Benjamin from Brooklyn, good evening, sir. How are you? Good to have you. Diana Husbands, Lemuel Tull, Tamika Harper, good night. Martin Brathwaite, Doriel Clark. So, Doriel, we're talking about this benevolent fund, and that I was asked by someone to get started officially, and I want to know what your thoughts are. It Owen is from Philadelphia, lockdown from Philadelphia. Judith and Clark, born again. How are you, born again? Sandra Howell. Yes. Bonnie Springer, good evening. Square Four, how are you? Square Four is reminding us to hit the thumbs up and to subscribe. Subscribe, please. Subscribe. Yes. Judith and Clark, good evening. Rolliston Broom, how are you? How are you? Loyal Daughter 66, how are you doing? I'm talking about the program you're running, Loyal Daughter 66, which is the Elevated for Life program that you are running along with Miss Rose Corbin. Tamika Harper, good night. Good night, Cynthia Thorpe. How are you? Anika Hope. Anika, we missed you yesterday. Nigel Carrington. Victor Bartlett, good evening. Good evening. Oh, certified sugars? Oh boy. Thelma Yearwood, good night. These names, they are so funny. Sharon Innes, good night. X it out. X it out. Oh, there's a young child who needs a transplant. I wasn't aware of that. Exit out, you can always message me. Right, so this is Cami. Cami, good night, Cami. Cami. Make sure, Cami, take my number down. 236-7000. I believe from the messages I saw that you were going to donate a refrigerator. So message me, please, 236-7000. I need you to message me, 236-7000. Okay, Cami? Message me, 236-7000. All right? Yes. So Kenneth Norville, you think it's great? Yes, Kenneth Norville. I believe we can do it. I believe we can do it. We can set up this charity and we can make a difference in this country. Our people need help, right? Oh, okay. Winston Clark is telling me. about a little girl who needs a liver transplant. So send me the information. Let me speak with I need to speak with the father directly before I push anything. That's just how I do things, because I value everybody on this program. Winston knows how I operate. So I need to be able to speak directly to that father, the parents of the child, and get all the facts so that I can come on and really do it properly. It would be great if I can even get the father to come on himself and to give his bank account and let us do it properly. That's just how I like to do things. So if Winston can let me if Winston can let me get all the information. Okay, he's saying it was in the newspaper. Is there anybody who can help me to locate the parents of this child that needs the transplant? Who can help me to locate the parents of the child that needs a transplant? We need to be able to research and make sure what we're doing when I like to know when I come on here, and if I say somebody if say this is happening, we know it's happening. I don't want to come because I value you and I value your resources. I value you. You're part of my family. You're part of me. And so I want to make sure of everything that I'm saying. And I'm sure Winston is correct in what he's saying, but I just want to have that so I can share that information with you. All right. Loyal daughter said she sent her pledge towards the benevolent fund. Loyal daughter, you are such a giver. You are such a giver. Yes. So if you're interested in wanting to be part of that benevolent team, that team of people that if somebody calls and they need help, we can refer them to you, and we would have access to funds that we can take care of different situations. If that's you, go ahead and message me and I will be able to respond to it after the show. 236-7000, so that we can get this benevolent fund that this loyal opposition was speaking to me about months ago. So we have been doing it, but we want to formalize it now. Okay. And yes, I think that would be yes, Kenneth. Yes, Kenneth. We want to make sure that everything is evaluated and done the right way. This chair that I sit in, Kenneth, I take it very seriously. I take it very seriously. And I don't want to come on to ask and to sometimes there are needs and I don't even come on and ask. I have specific people that call, because why I don't want to do that. I just don't want to overburden you, because I know that you have your own stuff that you're dealing with. You have your own stuff. You have your own issues that you're dealing with, and I don't like to overburden you. And worse, I don't want to come to you with a situation that I can't prove. You see? So I want to do that. I want to sit in truth. When I sit down in truth. Okay? We have too much scamming and all kind of things going on all around the world. We're going to deal with each other in truth and in righteousness. Okay? So anybody who can get a hold of this family and let us see what they have, and then when we come back on Wednesday, we will just listen. We will, once it is so, we will run a marathon for them on Wednesday. We come on and try to raise this money for them on Wednesday. All right. So if you want to be part of that benevolent fund, please message me. Now I have tonight is we don't have all the good news tonight so far to tell you. Do you remember the lady that we got the wheelchair for? Who remembered her? And this is why you see when people are in need, we help them. We help them. We don't know how much long they have with us. I went to the hospital. We looked for her. We also, from that benevolent fund, what we did, we took funds and we bought her some night clothes for the hospital, clothes for the hospital that she would, etc., be comfortable at the hospital. We had a nurse on here who was working with the hospital so that she would have help when she gets out of the hospital. That's coming from a loyal opposition who is a nurse. And would you believe what happened? I called her, my loyal opposition, on the day I was leaving, the 16th of October. I called the morning because I knew that I was going to be gone for a time, and I just wanted all of these persons that I deal with, I try to give them a call and said, listen, I'm out of the island, etc., etc. And I didn't get her. And would you believe, by evening I was told that she passed? The same lady that we got the wheelchair for, she passed, she died. Well, you know what I was sad when I heard, but you know what, loyal opposition, you know what that touched my heart? That before she died, she received the love from us. Donna, I remember, went up there, took all of her clothes and washed your clothes, and took it back and took the clothes down for her. I went to the hospital and I looked for her. And my husband will tell you, the Friday before I left, I wanted to go and look for her. And he was saying, but Marcia, you have so many things to do. I said to myself, okay, I will call her before I leave the country. I called her, but she was not, I didn't hear her. So I said she probably went to, the doctor's probably doing something with her. By the evening, I was packing my clothes when I heard that that lady passed. And this is why I say, we don't know. We just don't know. We just don't know. The people that come in our path, and how important it is, how important it is for us to show that kindness to people. Yes. Yes, she's no longer in pain. Yes, Tony, I was talking to you about her, Tony. Yes, yes, Kamar, she was in Britain's Hill. Yes. You all remembered her. You remembered her. And this is, yeah, it is serious. So people are messaging me and telling me they want to be part of that benevolent fund. I will say that there is a lady who she had where she lived was just so broken down, and was in a terrible condition, just really terrible. And we were able to negotiate with HUD. HUD, is it called? No, UDC. HUD is the US. UDC, Urban Development Commission, stayed on them, worked with them, make sure that they were doing right by her. And I can report to you that it seems like she's going to get her house by December. And I have one piece of furniture already. Somebody brought for me to put in her house for her to get a proper home for her and her daughter who's not well. She has a daughter who's not well. And so we are, as a loyal opposition, we're doing quite a bit. Quite a bit, okay? Mm, yes, yes. Okay. Well, as I said, this is Dr. Ferdinand's night, and unfortunately, he has had a death in his family, and called me at 6:34 this evening to say that he would not be able to join us this evening, but he had a great program lined up. I see Rose Corbin at 7:30 for Rose Corbin, and she is right here waiting. And then we'll have Nigel Newton at 8 o'clock, and Senator Nakid later tonight. And then Kimar is coming on, and Honorable Coretta McDonald. So he had a program lined up for you that is so, so powerful tonight. So let me welcome Rose Corbin. Good evening, Miss Corbin. How are you?
Um, Good evening, Marcia.
Good
Pleasure to be
evening.
here. I'm well, thank you.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I know when I see you come on and you're smiling this sweetly, I know you have something prepared for us this evening. So I'm moving out of the way. And, it's like when you spread up your table, you put on the table, you put on the mat, you put on the everything, and you're ready with a knife and fork. So, anybody ready with a knife and fork? Well, let's go right into it, Mrs. Rose Corbin. And by the way, thank you for the work you're doing with the young people in our Elevated for Life program that started right here on the show. And Mrs. Corbin, when you don't see her sometimes, because she's been teaching and been training some of the teachers with that program. Okay, so let me just congratulate her and Sonia for job well done.
Thank you. We have an excellent team of supporters, and that program is going quite well. Thank you. And thank you again, Marcia, for this opportunity. And as I always greet the audience, good evening, loyal sons and daughters, all firm craftsmen of our faith. This evening, I would have sent to Dr. Purdy um, the topic demanding representation, and it is within the context that follows.
Yes.
I want Dave, with your permission, Marcia, to introduce the session with this song. Dave, the song, please.
And as we wait on Dave, I'm going to ask everybody to like and to share and to subscribe. We want to increase our subscription, okay? So you will see a little sign there. I can't remember what the sign of the subscription is, if somebody can remind me. And where you can subscribe, it actually says the word subscribe. And you become a subscriber of the channel. I think that that is very, very important because you're going to get all kinds of notifications, etc., from us. Go right ahead, Dave. Thank you.
All my friends were talking about you. They say I should check you out. So I finally decided to see you. See what they were talking about. You exceeded expectations. Yes, indeed, you're so fine. I only spent a little time with you. Now I just can't get you off of my mind. 'Cause you are beautiful and spoiled. I've never seen your life before. Whatever the indisposition, be sure enough perfect cure. And when I'm wrapped up in your embrace, all my cares just disappear. Please don't let nobody change you, and you'd never be without a friend. Guess you make friends without trying, and they don't wanna go away. 'Cause here I am, standing at your door, only wishing that I could stay. Thoughts of you will come every night before I go to sleep. I think it's only fair to tell you, memories of you will run deep. 'Cause you are beautiful and smart. I've never seen your like before. Whatever the indisposition, be sure, shine up every cure. And when I'm wrapped up
Wrapped
in
up in
your
your
embrace,
embrace,
all my cares just
just
disappear.
disappear.
Please don't let nobody change you, and you'll never be without a prayer. 'Cause
Thank
you
you,
are
Dave. Thank you.
beautiful and
Thank you.
smart.
Thank
I've
you.
never seen you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's with that note I start, Marcia. And I want to ask the those in the audience if you could drop it in the chat. When you hear that song, what part of Barbados comes to mind? What part of Barbados comes to mind? What parish comes to mind? Well, for me, and in the interest of time, for me, it's St. Andrew. It's St. Andrew. And I'm going to ask Dave just to put up a few pictures of St. Andrew. And I just want you to have a feel for our country, Barbados, what we have to offer, who we are. So, Dave, could I see some other shots? We had the late Cheryl Hackett with that beautiful voice, reminding us of being beautiful and unspoiled. I think I'm that, and you are, aren't you, Marcia?
Of course.
Yes, please. Ah, and I saw from one of the speakers here, Monica Drayton, beautiful, the parish of Scotland district. Someone says St. Philip, St. Joseph. I'm a Philippine, and but yes, Marcia, yes, yes. But I must give St. Andrew my, my 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 heart as the beautiful and unspoiled part of Barbados. Thank you. Indeed it is. And let's look at that's me there on hiking. My husband and I were avid hikers. We don't do it much. And one bank holiday, I think it was an Independence or Kadooment Day, we left. It was raining heavily in St. Michael. We lived there at that time. And we left. This about 20 years ago. And we left. We took a breakfast and we were the only persons down by Barclays Park. We had breakfast there in the pouring rain in the car, and as soon as it lightened up, we hiked. And our intentions were to hike Belle through Shorey Village, into Cherry Tree Hill, Morgan Lewis Cherry Tree Hill, round all the way around by Nicholas Abbey and on to Farley Hill, back down Belle and onto East Coast. And these were some of the pictures we took. We only got as far as Morgan Cherry Tree Hill when there was a freak thunderstorm, lightning and all that. And that's it there, the mist coming. And we couldn't get any further. Some tourists were driving, turned around, and took us back to Farley Hill, and we had to take the bus from there. I always retreat to St. Andrew. Um, I do bus rides decades now, even before I had my car to flash. And I would do bus rides through St. Andrew. It was a place of retreat. I didn't have to pay more than $357 to get that peace and that tranquility and to feel the heart of Barbados. And this St. Andrew there, where it is, but abound with, as the old people will say, with St. Peter, with St. Thomas, and with St. Joseph. And why I am speaking about St. Andrew. Um, I want to show respect to the people of St. Andrew, who in my heart I feel have been neglected now for decades. And I am speaking out, demanding representation for them. You know that I would have spoken some time ago how my heart went out to that person, that lady who sat in the bus stand, Cheapside bus stand, saying that he's like begging for salt to get
Mm.
transportation home. But I've sat many a time with them begging for salt for that Shore Village bus, for that bus that would take me uh, into St. Andrew, the heart of St. Andrew. And this time around, as I sit with them, I notice the heart of the Barbadian public, the psyche. There's something about the people of St. Andrew, their, their resilience, their resourcefulness. They epitomize the heart of Barbados, the psyche of
Mm.
Barbados, their patience, could we say long suffering, in some ways their resignation to the situation and the situations that they encounter every day, the bus transportation and the road. And they demonstrate to me how we generally as Barbadians are, our patience, our long suffering, but don't take us for granted. I'm not asking the people of St. Andrew to revolt, but I'm speaking out on your behalf based on something that happened on Saturday. On
Mm.
Saturday evening, Marcia, after conducting the classes, my husband and I decided, go for our weekly ride. And we waited quite a while, as per usual, for a bus. And then came the bell plane, this minibus. And I told him, the driver, I'm going to give him a shout out on this
Mm.
show tonight. And because there's some really, really good people, Marcia, out there. Permit me, please, to
Yes.
give a shout out to Andy, the bus driver of B308, one of the top buses serving
B308.
B as in boy, B308,
Mm-hmm.
Andy Pyle. Whoop for Andy Pyle. And I am saying that we took that route. We don't normally go that route. But on Wednesday, it was the St. Andrew's Church route that took a different uh, journey.
Yeah.
We came from Bridgetown through Shop Hill. As soon as we passed the Nazarene Shop Hill Church, Marcia, were it not for the good dentist I have, I would have sworn that all my fillings would have fallen out.
What happened?
The road was awful
Mm.
from Shop Hill past the district. And we went past the new, scarcely used, built
Mm.
sanitation surface headquarters. I don't know if it is spite, I don't know, Marcia, if it's indifference, but that road right through with little pockets of quite, little pockets of less bumpiness. I'm running
Mm-hmm.
short
A
of
smooth
words to
road.
describe a
Smooth road.
smooth road. Not smooth, Marcia. Fewer patchholes then,
Okay.
right? Um, we came through um, Dunscombe, Pori Spring, Dunscombe. We came into Hillaby Turner's Hall. And we continue that route onto Belplain, onto St. Andrew's Church, past Babylon, into St. Andrew's Church, round the roundabout, into Belplain, a little smoothness from the church to the roundabout by Belplain, past the disabandoned um, polyclinic that they have closed down. And then we went into St. Simon's.
Mm.
But coming through Marcia, if you know St. Andrew, as picturesque as it is, the roads in are in terrible shape.
Mm.
At one point coming down, the bus jolted so frequently that we were actually almost hitting the roof. Two passengers, elderly men in front of me, braced back and embracing back. The back of the seats fell out. A seat
Wow.
in all the shock on the road, a seat that someone was sitting on and had vacated, flew up and off, came off the screws. And we were tossed and turned, but Andrew Pyle kept his confidence, his focus, and he turned those corners. He maneuvered the cracks in the road, the bumps in the road, the
Mm-hmm.
humps, the lumps in the road, and he carried his passengers safely. And not once did I hear a suck of the teeth, not once did I hear a complaint from the passengers. And all I could tell my husband, this demonstrates the resilience of the people of St. Andrew. And I say respect to you. But on the other hand, respect you. You should be treated better.
And
And
who's
do
the,
not,
who's the MP? Who's the
I'm,
MP?
I'm coming to that one,
Okay.
Marcia. I'm coming to that one. And they have had for successive decades the same MP. The former MP was MP George Payne. Do not give me the excuse that the land is slippery and the land is unstable. Certainly with the technology, certainly with the technocrats and the persons who can advise. Certainly, some of those roads could be in better shape. What are they doing to St. Andrew? St. Andrew represents neglect, shows neglect. And St. Andrew, what I have noticed is that they have repaired the stretch of the road along the East Coast, and that is the BLP stomping ground for their annual picnic. They have repaired that coastal side, but the roads most taken to get into St. Andrew, all those inner roads, Marcia, pained me, hurt me. And this is what people have to use every day, plus uh, the public transportation that is not reliable. And they have had, I replay them, I don't have time, 3 successive St. Andrew Parish Speak, 2020, 23, 24,
Mm.
around August, the same complaints, and nothing has been done. Please put up the picture of Dave, of the representative for that parish.
You're very right to do that, Rose. I love it.
Not that one yet. I'm coming to that, Marcia, if we have time. Not that one, Dave. That one. That one. Go back. This here. Dr. Rommel Springer. And the caption there is "Stay the course." How long will the people of St. Andrew be expected to stay the course? And as I was leaving St. Andrew, and we stopped when we turned around in St. Simon, we had a chance to speak to driver Andy Pyle. And he talked about, and Marcia, the gentleman is no older, I don't think he's 40. And he was driving a manual bus shift. So you can
Wow.
imagine controlling the ship up and down, bouncing, dodging the ravines on either side, the gullies. Don't they deserve more? And this gentleman, and look at the caption, it's safer with Mia when traveling into St. Andrew on that particular route. It's not safe, neither is it safer. And these buzzwords and captions, and the people went out and voted for him to replace his predecessor, George Payne. He was given this seat on a platter. Now, I remember that I said, let me research his role. Marcia, he is the parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Transports and Work. Transport and Work. You don't hear diddly squat from him. I went on his Facebook, on his Instagram, whatever, and there he is with suit and attached case. I don't have a brief for the man because the first thing they will say is that we're anti-BLP. I am anti any MP, any minister who is not doing the job, who is not representing the people. And do you hear anything from Miss Dr. Springer in the House? I was shocked when I looked for his portfolio because I know that the Prime Minister, who she has not given a ministry to, has appointed parliamentary secretary. So he's getting a salary. We don't hear anything from him in a supportive role of his minister, who is Honorable Sancho Bradshaw. And we hear nothing. Then at Paris Speak, we would have the Prime Minister wagging her finger, talk to Rommel. Rommel, what you doing? Rommel, what you doing? The same old that she said that the people complain. The same old concerns and issues voiced from 2022. And the roads are in an awful state. No, Marcia, as I was leaving, something in my spirit said, keep a watch on St. Andrew. There may be some developments in St. Andrew occurring. Only to read in yesterday's paper, I don't have it here, on that article, that expose on how the non-national workers are being treated and how poorly they're paid on these projects. And embedded in that report is that within St. Andrew, they will be building two housing projects or whatever for the Chinese workers in the heart of St. Andrew. Let us keep an eye on St. Andrew as we did with Joe's River. Let us keep an eye on St. Andrew. I am concerned. I remember I was looking for the article. I couldn't pull it up. I remember the late Prime Minister David Thompson saying that that stretch of road should be left unspoiled with no development as has happened on the South Coast. And I don't want, this is one time we will mobilize and we will sit out on the East Coast and along that St. Andrew parish line. They have neglected Morgan Lewis. They have neglected the road to Nicholas Abbey. They are now putting up those unsightly wind turbine structures. We have no respect for ecology. We have no respect for aesthetics when it comes to preserving what is natural and what is unspoiled. And as we came into Hillaby, right there in Hillaby, you would find the office of Dr. Rommel Springer. And I said to myself, clearly, he does not go past Hillaby. He does not go past Hillaby. And when he wants to get out of St. Andrew into the city, into Warrens, he probably comes up by Pori Spring, turn into Rock Hall, and pick up the highway from St. Thomas Church. Clearly, he does not go into the other part of St. Andrew. If you want to enter St. Andrew, even from Farley Hill, that road for Farley Hill now is popping down. To go up Farley Hill from the Shorey Village stretch, coming from Belle Plaine, you're up and down into to crevices, it popping down. What plans do they have for St. Andrew? Why they're neglecting St. Andrew? Marcia, this MP here was given St. Andrew on a platter. Maybe that's why he's not working hard for it, or for the residents of St. Andrew. Better roads, better transportation. He was given it on a platter, and that is what's happening with this party. There are some persons who believe that they're entitled. There's some persons who believe that it's a given. Well, I'm telling St. Andrew, I don't live in St. Andrew, but I'm telling you to wake up and smell the sea, the nice sea breeze. And think carefully about where you are going. Ask for representation and do not take any last minute plaster on the sore without attending to the cause of the sore. Another thing quickly, Marcia, is that my renaissance on the ground, my people on the ground, told me that the last MP was selective and individualistic in helping. He helped, but it was on an individual selective partisan manner. And so several people would say, we've been helped, but on the other hand, communities have been neglected. And in addition, we would have found that there are certain areas that are considered their strongholds. So you would hear St. Silas, which butterbound St. James, which is part of St. James. So the heart of St. Andrew is being neglected for other areas that butterbound and are considered strongholds for the BLP. That's not representation. And on this note, I think I'm seeing Nigel is there. I want Dave, please. There's other information that I have there, but I want Dave to pull up that one where it says that George Payne spoke about what was happening to the people at White Hill.
Right. So we have 2 minutes, Miss Corbin. Yes.
Yes, please. Just pull up that and let's read it quickly, Dave. Could you? This is what Marcia, I wasn't even aware of. And I'm trying to read it. George Payne is dissatisfied and hurt by the way Mia Motley-led administration has treated the residents of White Hill in the St. Andrew community which she represents. Now remember, now he's a backbencher. He was fired from the cabinet, and
Yes.
this too, he spoke of being treated in a disrespectful way in another section of the press. I continue. He has accused the government of not only neglecting the area since winning the 2018 elections, but selling off land that was acquired specifically for the residents of White Hill. To quote, he said this: "My members of parliament do not understand that there's a place called White Hill. It's like a village that has been neglected if it isn't part of Barbados, not only White Hill, but certainly other areas of St. Andrew. It is a place that has been segregated from the rest of Barbados, a place that people live daily without water, without transportation, without proper housing," Payne said in the House of Assembly. Scroll, Dave. "After the last election, I'm a little bit disappointed that we took on the problems in White Hill. The people who listen to this, the people who help account for the 30-0 defeat, but not once have we gone back in order to analyze the problems of that area. The former Minister of Housing, who is currently the longest serving MP of Parliament, said he was hurt by this situation. I am pained, no pun intended, by the fact that we can now, despite the position we took, go back to the same Lancaster St. James, whether in the terms of a land fair or whatever, and involve the whole of Barbados on lands that are rightfully owned by the people of White Hill." He talked about the DLP government. We could continue the policies of the Democratic Labour Party government and have an all-day land fair to literally give away the lands. Go back to the debates when I was Minister of Housing and see why the land at Lancaster was acquired. It was acquired for the people of White Hill, the people who were affected, bring it up a bit more, by
Yes.
the ravages of...
We literally have 1 minute more. We've gone into Nigel's time completely.
All
Yes.
right. But here in my research, I did not know that the land now where those Hope project houses are on
Yes.
were allocated and bought for the relocation of the residents of White Hill.
Wow. Total neglect.
I
Well,
am asking
Yes.
for representation for St. Andrew. And I'm asking the people of Barbados that should there be any development that interferes with the unspoiled beauty of St. Andrew, let us do as we did for Joe's River.
For St. Joseph, yes, for
I
Joe's
thank
River.
you.
Thank
I
you so
thank you.
much. Thank you so much, Rose, for bringing that to our attention. Very important, as she said, to keep those areas, not neglected, because a lot of times we want to keep them unspoiled, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we take care of those. She was calling names of places that I'm thinking I need to go drive out in some of those areas. Most definitely. Thank you so much, Rose.
You're
Well, we
welcome.
have Mr. Nigel Newton with us, and he's going to be talking to us about beyond the turning point. And before he comes on, before he starts tonight, I'm going to ask you to like and to subscribe and to share. All right. So we're doing three things: we're liking, we're subscribing, and we're sharing. All right. We're liking, we're subscribing, and we're sharing. So please do that. Please do that, everybody. Thank you all so very, very much. So, Nigel, we are talking about beyond the turning point, and the topic is quite interesting.
And
And I right away, I'm wondering to myself, what is this turning point?
well, good night, Marcia,
Good
and
night.
the entire loyal opposition. But I must say to Rose, your presentation was one below the belt, and I am breathless. I am breathless. But you spoke the naked truth. And tonight, I want to deal with what I term uh, beyond the turning point. Okay? Um, Beyond the turning point.
But before, because I know you've done a whole lot of notes here, and we wanted you to break it down to us. So before, I don't even want you to read these notes. I want us to have a discussion. So I want
Okay.
you, Nigel, let's talk about this turning point. What is, when you said beyond the turning point? So let's break down the topic. What is the turning point?
The turning point occurred on May 24th, 2018,
Mm-hmm.
when the Barbados Labour Party was elected to government with a 30-0 seat majority in the House of Assembly of Barbados.
So May 2018, you felt that there was a turning point. So what are we? So we May 28, when the first 30-0, you felt that there was a turning point. What is it that you think we were turning away from?
We the nature and quality of governance in Barbados,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because having grown up under the leadership of the Right Excellent Errol Barrow
Mm-hmm.
and the prime ministers that followed him, we recognize that Prime Minister Barrow and the others had
As
a
you said, the others. Let's go through who the others are. So we had
uh,
Barrow. Uh-huh.
Prime Minister Barrow.
Yes.
Then you had Prime Minister Tom Adams.
Adams. Yes.
Then for a short while we had Prime Minister Bernard St. John.
Bernard St. John. Yes.
Then Erskine Sandiford.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, David Thompson, Prime Minister David Thompson, we had him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Prime Minister Owen Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
And then Prime Minister Frondell Stewart.
Okay, so Owen Arthur would be before David Thompson.
Sorry, I'm not getting you clearly.
No, I was saying Owen Arthur would be before Frondell Stewart.
Yes.
Before David Thompson, I'm saying before David Thompson.
Let me see. It was David Thompson. I think it would.
Because David Thompson would be right
I'm a little
before
fuzzy
Frondell
on that one.
Stewart. Right.
Sorry.
David Thompson would be right before Frondell Stewart.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So before Front
Yes.
Stewart would be Owen Arthur. Okay. We had all these prime ministers, and so you're saying when May 28, 2018 occurred, something happened in Barbados. We now had a new prime minister. Was the first we were having a female prime minister? Because these are Obaro, you have Tom Adams, Bernard St. John, Erskine Sandiford, Owen Arthur, David Thompson, Front Stewart. We now had a female, so it was something different, right? But what is that all that was different to your mind?
No, I'm not focusing on gender right now.
Okay.
What I am focusing on is the caliber and the vision and the purpose that the former prime ministers had for Barbados. In other words, they protected Barbados.
Mm,
Remember, Prime Minister Barrow said, one of these days we will wake up and find that Barbados no longer belonged to us.
mm-hmm,
Back then it was a prophecy. Today it is a living reality in Barbados. And of course, Prime Minister Sandiford, he is credited with building the education structure of Barbados. Okay,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
he developed the community college. He made a tremendous contribution toward the educational development of Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at some point in time, Prime Minister Stewart, and I'm coming forward now, Prime Minister Stewart, um, I think he said at one point in time that Barbados is more than an economy,
Yes, yes, that's
and
true.
and that we have to focus on those things that we cannot lose. In other words, those things that we must keep, and those things that we really don't need. I'm
Mhm.
paraphrasing somewhat.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, based on the history and development of Barbados under those former prime ministers, what happened in 2018 was definitely the turning point.
Mm. So after May 2008, you've now seeing something that is different. You're no longer seeing the kind of governance in your mind that sought to protect Barbados. You didn't see a governance, a type of governance that said that we were more than an economy, right? You weren't
Right.
seeing those. What is it that you saw then?
Well, sorry, I'm not getting you as clearly as I would like.
Yes, you're not hearing. What if
It's somewhat muffled, and I'm not getting
Oh,
a
I'm
good.
sorry. I'm sorry. I want to make sure that am I being heard? Tamika, can you hear me properly?
I'm hearing you a bit better there now.
A bit better. One of my body's turned from the microphone. So I want to hear from the audience if they're hearing me so I can see what adjustments I might need to make. Okay, they're hearing. Okay. Right, right. What I was saying is it that you're no longer no, it's May 2018 until now, you no longer believe that the kind of governance that we have in Barbados is one that is protecting Barbados or seeking to protect Barbados, seeing Barbados more than in an economy? Is that what it is you're saying?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Barbados is more than an economy. Yes, they protected Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
But since 2018, I have noticed
Okay.
that the emphasis now is not on protecting Barbados and Barbadians. It is about personal aggrandizement, friends, family, and fornicators, according to the other member of the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I am noticing, and Rose's contribution tonight is very, very significant because as she was going through her presentation, my heart sank. I felt depressed.
Mm.
I felt sad for Barbados because here it is. Can you imagine that a government has given permission to sell Joe's River?
Mm.
Can you imagine, or do you realize that a government, a prime minister, sold off the garrison, government headquarters, and now, according to Rose, these massive developments are now to take place in St. Andrew. In St. Andrew. So there you have incontrovertible evidence that there has been a catastrophic turning point in the governance of Barbados since 2018. And then, out of anger,
Mm-hmm.
resentment, bitterness, and spite, a general election was called in January 2022
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of a pandemic where thousands of Barbadians were deprived of their constitutional right. That would never have happened under the late, right, excellent Errol Walton Barrow. That would not have happened under him. And there is definitely a catastrophic change in the governance of Barbados. But we
So,
Barbadians
mhm.
have to recognize that and be prepared to do something about it.
Yeah, somebody, Lemuel Tull, is saying that one, I guess, the change that he's seen that has occurred is that they don't care about weed; they only want money. So,
Ah,
so you're seeing that since 2018, and then we had 2022, the next election. That this is not really about us, about the people anymore, not about Barbados anymore. You talked about how you noticed that it was about what people can get for themselves, what our leaders are could get for themselves. Any examples of that?
I'm not clear. I didn't get that clearly.
Do you have examples? So you were saying that you noticed that it was no about what they could get for themselves, basically, right?
No, I lost a bit of that there, the last part of it.
Oh,
I'm not sure what is the problem here.
yes. Okay. I'm not sure because they're saying they're hearing me. Probably. I'm not sure if it's a microphone.
It could be. Let me see if I could
Yeah, no,
adjust
just
my.
keep going, Nigel. Don't stop too, because we have 10 more minutes. So keep going, please.
Yeah. So repeat for me again.
No, I was saying keep going, because you're not hearing me well. So don't
Oh, okay. You want me to continue? Okay. So, and yes, the turning point was in 2018 and 2022. And there is a new, if I may say, a new style of governance in Barbados, where Barbados is not important. The views, the concerns, the aches and pains of Barbadians are not important. Just the grab for money. Therefore, Barbados is up for sale. Okay. Persons in parliament, okay, for example, the parliamentarians,
hmm.
despite all that is happening to us in Barbados, can you tell me, Marcia, have you heard a single parliamentarian come out in defense of Barbadians?
No, I mean, I think of the one from St. Lucie who comes out and instead of defending the people from St. Lucie, he tells them, you pay your water bill for the dirty, smelly, stinking water you're getting. Pay your water bill. What you talking about not paying your water bill? You have to pay your water bill. He doubled down.
I have to tell. Sorry, again. I'm not hearing.
Okay.
Oh, you're there. You're there.
Yes, I'm here, but obviously we're not hearing each other.
Okay. Let me see if I can assist here. All right. Now the lawyer opposition had a march in a motorcade in St. Lucie yesterday, and I in the chat in the on the show last night, we were told that the representative for St. Lucie was driving around and taking photos of the motorcade and persons in the motorcade. Is that the kind of representation that the people of St. Lucie deserve? And have you heard any one of the parliamentarians defending the interests and well being of Barbadians? But they are keeping silent and they're making sure that they have 10 years in parliament so that they can secure the pension for life. Therein, you have another example of the turning point in the governance of Barbados. Yes,
Yes, go ahead, Nigel, because you're not hearing me when I'm speaking. So I'm just gonna let you present.
okay, all right. There seemed to be a little issue there. All right. Well, let me go a little further. I will come back to you in a minute there. Um, just give me a chance. No. Um, let me see. Let me see. No. So another example of the turning point, or I would like to say to you, the signing of the Pact for the Future in New York only this month is another example. And you recall that at some point in time, I had mentioned that Barbados is not a democracy. Okay, and I think there were some comments over the months and some questions asking me to explain what I meant, and also when I called for a change in government, they are asking me. I was asked to explain that and what can we do. No, what I will say when I say that Barbados is not an economy, I think um, Dave has some slides that I wanted him to put up for me. Let me see if I can identify the particular one. Yes, slide slide 16, the bottom part. Slide 16, the last part of slide 16. If you have that there, you can put it up for me, Dave. If not, I can read it. Okay. Slide 16. When I said our system of governance is not a democracy. And clearly, what is happening in Barbados now, for me, is evidence that there is no democratic governance in Barbados. And I am saying that what we call democracy, I term it on slide 17, Western democracy is a strategic, ideological, socio-economic, and political alliance against African people. And that, what I'm saying tonight now is that the ideology and the philosophy of that system of governance is embedded. If you go to it there, you will see I am saying that uh, it is embedded in the whoa, what am I in still? Oh, okay. I'm not sure what happened there. Um, I'm not sure what happened there, but the 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 philosophy of the Western democracy, the ideology, they're embedded in what I call the 9 areas of people activity, and that is in economics. In the area of economics, and I am saying that the economic system in this Western economic system, it emphasizes uh, the private ownership and sale of land. Um, it continues in the education system, and I think Rose would be quite interested in noting and paying some attention to. In fact, she has been paying attention to education. For me, that is brainwashing, subordination, and servitude. It instills those things. In the area of entertainment, uh, we have revelry, drugs, sex, and debauchery. In labor, there is oppression, exploitation, abuse, and pauperization of Barbadians, as we have the evidence. And in law, we have the codification of barbarism, oppression, of an oppressive legal and judicial system. But I would like to focus on the area of law now. And the reason why I am doing that is because I want to link it to the cyber crimes bill. Okay, now uh, and the one of the part of the turning point, I must say, in Barbados is that governance now is solely focused on legislation after legislation. There is no consideration for uh, social construction in the interest of Barbadians. There is no philosophy. There is no emphasis on nation building, nothing whatsoever in that area. But we are seeing a heavy emphasis on legislation. And the cybercrime bill comes to my attention now because governance now is more oppressive, dictatorial, insensitive, and disrespectful. And we are not accustomed to these qualities or to this style of governance in Barbados. Because when you look back from the Right Excellent Errol Barrow, he was a motivator. He gave us that famous speech, what kind of mirror image do you have of yourself? I remember another one he addressed in Guyana at the Caribbean Summit. Who will buy my gray sand and who will buy my white sand? The right excellent Errol Barrow, he was a role model for us. He motivated us and he helped us to see and recognize the importance of nation building. And the other prime ministers followed in that vein. But now, since the 2018 general election, we have recognized and are the victims of a turning point in governance. And I am saying, taking into consideration all of what Rose said to us tonight and the other things that are happening in Barbados, we Barbadians have to come to the realization that we have to do something about it.
What do you propose in this last 3 minutes that you have? What do you propose that you do about it?
Okay, I have been encouraging Barbadians to follow the example of Henry David Thoreau. That is civil disobedience. I have been suggesting that, and I am honestly civil disobedience. But I think along with that, in fact, we have to limit the power of government also. And there are methods, there are ways in which we must limit the power of government because we
How do you
cannot.
limit? How do you do these things? How do you limit the power of governance?
Well, we have a constitution. In fact, we are now a republic. There is a committee that met to formulate a republican constitution.
Yes.
But we don't know the contents. We have no idea what is in it. But I am saying when that constitution is made available to the public, we should have time to peruse that constitution. And what we do not approve of, we must have those aspects struck down. And we, the citizens of Barbados, must discuss and make our own proposals to be included in a constitution for the Republic of Barbados.
And how do you suppose that we do the civil disobedience? If somebody is listening, what are you telling us to do? To be disobedient to the law?
But I have explained that several times. We do not cooperate. For example, the people in St. Lucie, for example, part of their civil disobedience or the main plank in their civil disobedience is not to pay the water bill.
So I know you've said it over and over, but it's good to repeat, because there are people who are watching for the first time. Basically, so tonight you're talking about that beyond the turning point. And if Barbadians are to do anything about it, you are advocating two things: civil disobedience, and the next one is the limiting of governance, right?
Yes.
The limiting of the power of the government.
Because the government has too much power. Look what is happening in Barbados today. The sale, Barbados has been sold, and we have no say. We had no say in what went on. So we have to find ways as a people with dignity and respect and with sovereignty. We have to find ways and means to limit the colonial structure and the power of government, because we are now a democracy, a republic.
Well, that's what they tell us. We're not even sure what kind of republic this is. Well, thank you so much tonight, Nigel. Sorry we had the technical issue and we could not have that discussion as I had wanted, but we still got a lot out of it. Thank you so very much as you come each Monday night and chip away at it. Thank you so much. God
You're
bless.
welcome.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Mhm.
thank you. I see we have with us here Mr. Senator Nakid, our good friend Senator Nakid. How are you doing?
Good evening to all. Nice to be here again. I see, looking forward to having a very productive discussion and very proud of the work that you guys are doing.
Yes, thank you. And we miss Trinidad. We miss Trinidad quite a bit. We miss all the food and the fun and you guys are always full of jokes. Trini is full of jokes, but I know you come serious as Nigel was. Nigel is a serious man, and you're following a serious man. So tell us what's going on in Trinidad at this time.
Well, I was smiling, Riley, when you said that Trinidad and Tobago is full of jokes. We are. we are because we've really outdone ourselves by electing, and I think it's a unanimous decision. We've elected the worst government in our nation's history. Trinidad is in a very bad place, a very dark place, on so many levels, on every socio-economic level. The morale of the country is in a bad way. Although this government, anyone who speaks the truth like I do, the government, they're quick to pull the unpatriotic card, you know. But we don't care, and especially I don't care. I will say it without any fear of contradiction that this is the worst government. Keith Rowley has trampled on many independent institutions. I've called them out publicly, not only in Parliament where there's parliamentary privilege. I've called them out publicly, and he's unable to take me to court because I've given evidence where he has trampled on independent institutions, much to the detriment of the country.
Yeah.
And we're in a very bad place, and I think everyone now is looking towards elections to get this government out.
So I'm listening to you, and you sounded so much like Nigel. Nigel was talking about this turning point. Do you think that right now Trinidad has passed that turning point?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we are so deep in the rabbit hole. It's time for us to stop digging.
Why? Can you explain to us what's so different, in Trinidad right now? What are the issues?
Well, let me give you statistics. Right now, we are 500 and about 40 murders for the year, compared to 450 something last year, which was bad enough. We are sixth in the world, the most murderous country, the sixth most murderous country in the world. In the world, a country of 1.4 million people with oil and gas, the richest country in this part of the world, most certainly. At one point in time, the third richest country in the Western Hemisphere. Over $3 trillion they have passed through this country like a dose of salt. PNM, which is a country, the government right now has been in charge of this country for over 52 years out of 65, or 67, which shows that they've had the lion's share of governance, and no sector of the country works. The healthcare sector is abysmal, with waiting times of 2 to 3 years for some operations, 2 to 3 years, a waiting time of sometimes a week to 2 weeks for a bed in the hospital with people dying in the hallways. But the education system has been turning out dropouts, failure rates of close to 47% at the primary school level, and even more so at the secondary school level. And people who have degrees and postgraduate degrees are left without jobs, working in retail stores, and I'm talking about professional doctors, engineers. This country is in a very terrible mess. But this government reminds me of Papa Doc. I don't know if your viewers will remember Papa Doc Duvalier from Haiti, where they have a control of the media narrative. Our media has become quite subservient, quite corrupt, quite complicit with this government, because of the advent of social media. The traditional media has lost a lot of money, and this government has been given.
So let me ask you something. In because what you're describing there sounds so much like Barbados, a healthcare system where people are just laying down in the passageway. They take forever to get a bed. I know of my friend's mom who was in a wheelchair for 3 days and could not get a bed. When she finally got the bed, she died the next day. So we have similar, things. It is a similar thing that is happening. What do you think is really happening to our Caribbean countries?
Well, wholesale corruption. I mean, we don't need rocket science or to search far and wide. I mean, we don't have to be looking for the Holy Grail to find out what it is. It's right in front of our faces. But I'll tell you something about the narrative. I know for sure of my country, Trinidad and Tobago, and possibly Barbados as well, since Mia Motley does enjoy quite some plaudits and praise internationally. But I know the word on the ground in Barbados is quite different. And,
Correct.
But here in Trinidad and Tobago, the government neither enjoys plaudits internationally nor in Trinidad and Tobago. They have absolutely failed. So your story about your friend or your acquaintance who died after waiting 3 days, that's nothing new to Trinidad and Tobago. But the narrative pushed, the PNM has a narrative that I would say is very similar to the Zionist colonial entity called Israel. It's their narrative that dominates everything. Palestinian voices are stifled. It's the same for the PNM. And I made that, however, that might be a macabre comparison, but it's very apt, because a narrative that is misdirected and that a narrative that overwhelms in a democracy stifles the truth. The truth is concealed. And that's the danger of these governments now in the Caribbean. They know they have failed, they know they are corrupt, incompetent, dysfunctional, but their narrative, they are on point with their narrative towards the public.
So it's more about what they're saying. So let me ask you, the media in Trinidad, are they do you find that they're independent, or do you think that they have they're totally sold out to the government of the current government?
Well, let me give you an example. I'll go into details as I like to. We have the Trinidad Guardian and the Express, and the two most popular, if I can say popular, I use that word very loosely. They have all faced declining sales, massive decline in sales, because they have been found out.
Wow.
I would say, in my personal opinion, that the Express might be a little better than the Guardian. Is owned by a family called the Sabgas.
Right, your mic is going in and out. I don't know if that's happening for other people.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but you're going in and out. But continue, please.
What about now?
Oh, that's perfect.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you, and it's perfect. Yes.
Okay, I'm not hearing you that well. But okay. So we have what we call the Guardian newspapers, and they are owned by a family that is firmly they firmly control. They are not in the pockets of the PNM. They control the PNM. It's a Syrian family that came to Trinidad and Tobago maybe close to 100 years now. If so much, that narrative needs to be investigated as well. But anyway, they became from, let's say, from the middle class. They went from, of course, meager means, like anyone who came from abroad. My father and grandfather, and they also came from that part of the world, from Lebanon. And they went from meager means to the middle class through their diligence, hard work. And then within 20, 25 years, let's say, they became multi-billionaires with lots of property. Now, the reasons behind that are up for investigation and debate. You know, I have called for an investigation to how they became, without inventing anything, how they went from middle class to billionaires, virtual billionaires. And there has been talk and
this is the newspaper. This is the Express, you're saying?
This is the owners of the Guardian newspaper.
Wow.
I'm giving you detail about the Guardian newspapers first. I'll speak about the Express after. I'm telling you how you have now this business family who normally boast how much they are the 1% and they are the most powerful race in Trinidad and Tobago. They boast that and that they control the government and so forth and so on. And they basically put out the narrative that this government who has failed is somehow it's always a narrative that leans heavily towards this PNM government. This PNM government is a blackface, white mask, as Frantz Fanon said. Government, they've not worked in the service of Black and African people in Trinidad and Tobago. On the contrary, they have worked against our people, against Black and African people and Indian people. So the 1% has become richer, which is mostly the Syrian businessmen, a section of that. I don't want to disparage all our Syrian brothers and sisters, but the Syrian businessmen, who are highly favored in terms of contracts, and also our Chinese Trinbagonians, who are also highly favored in contracts. And our so-called Black and African constituencies are among the lowest performance in all social indices, whether it be education, health, social programs, sport, they are absolutely failed constituencies. And that's why we have seen this surge in crime, especially in those communities that are controlled by the PNM government. So this so-called Black government that pretends to be a Black government, blackface, white mask, they have failed their own people, but they don't care. Keith Rowley doesn't care, and he said that. He has said, who dead, and he must make the rich richer. And then the rich being richer will help the poor. I don't know how that works, but you know, Keith Rowley is what I call an idiot savant. He's a specialist at being an idiot. You know, he says he's an expert at negative politics, at the noise. I say.
Let me ask you a question here. Let me ask you a question. So the Trinidad Guardian, you're saying basically they own the government because they have so much money. They're practically billionaires, the owners. Okay, so these people, they basically, you're saying they own the government. Now the question is, are people still turning to them, or are they looking to social media for accuracy in information? What are people doing in terms of media if they want to hear the truth of what's happening to the government?
Well, faced with what I just explained to you about the media, especially the Guardian newspapers and their affiliates like CNC3 television, we were forced, the opposition, to to ramp up our social media game, which we have done. You know, we have a few people who produce videos almost every day, and we have quite a large following. I do Senator Anna Roberts as well, and we continue to push the narrative, push the truth in a way that can reach the people. Having said that, the traditional media, as you know, it is what it is. People have, whether by force of habit, by routine, by sheer laziness, they tend to look at the headlines of the traditional media, and sometimes they don't read the articles. They just look at the headline. The headline can be just sensationalism that's geared towards the narrative of the government. But when you read the article, sometimes it's very different than the headline, and that's intentional. That's intentional because the traditional media, they know that people look at the headlines and probably will never read the article. But it is what it is, and we have to work within those constraints as an opposition, and we have to keep getting the truth out to the people. We have elections within 1 year, and we have to try and win the hearts and minds of the people. Because sometimes people go and vote against their interests, as you know, you well know, because they have been so indoctrinated, brainwashed, and it's a hard fight, but it's a fight it's a noble fight, and it's a fight that we have to win.
Yes, yes. And so you're saying that elections are going to be in less than a year in Trinidad?
They're constitutional due to be called, I think, by November 2025.
Wow. Okay, so you know that that in Barbados we are just speculating. We don't know as yet, but and it's interesting though how you are turning to social media in order to get your message out, because you're saying that the government, they have all of the other media houses in their pocket. Now, what are the general views of the people about the opposition? Do you think that the message is getting to the opposition, to the people from the opposition?
Well, the opposition, because I'm on the ground, the opposition has been in the ascendancy. And I do not say that because I am part of the opposition. No, I say that I would not have said this to you maybe 6-7 months ago, but we are definitely now in the ascendancy because the government has really decimated the economy, and there's little or no social life. When we make a statement like that, the opposition, there's little or no social life. The government comes and says, well, if you look at the parties, you have a lot of people in the parties. I mean, that's their understanding of social life. How many people go to the parties and dress immodestly, and how many people wind up and get drunk? That's not an accurate measure of social life. Social life meaning there's no longer that interaction on the street between the people. There's a fear. Once people get into their cars to go out with their families, there's a fear that they will not return home. They'll be attacked. They'll be robbed. They'll be raped. I mean, just today we had unfortunate news about a man being arrested for attacking, sexually raping a 5-year-old boy. We've had instances of that. We've had instances that I have highlighted about this PNM government being involved in a pedophile ring, and we know of definitely of cases of pedophilia by members of this government. One who, in a very famous one, in the Akil Chambers case, where a young boy, 11 or 12 years old, was raped by a PNM ex-minister, and someone else who still, according to testimony, who still is part of the judiciary and high in the judiciary. And this PNM government has never made any attempts. But I keep bringing that always out in the public because I said there will be justice for Akil Chambers. And as long as I'm alive, I will make sure that young African boy gets the justice that he and his family deserves. And the PNM refuses to launch an investigation. As a matter of fact, there's a report, and in the so-called independent report, that because of my work on the pedophilia within the PNM government, that report was initiated. It's called the Judith Jones report. And although it was heavily redacted, in my opinion, because I gave it evidence, and I think it was heavily redacted. But okay, that report was laid on Keith Rowley's desk for now 2 years, and he has not actioned one thing in that report. And it detailed sexual and domestic abuse, child abuse in children's homes and the like. So we know that this is a government that has lost all relevance, morally, spiritually, in economic terms, in any ways that any metric that you will use to define a government. This government has lost the plot. So we hope that we can continue our work and highlight this and look to get them out of government.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking that I'm listening to you. You're talking about the economics of Trinidad and what's happening with the people there in terms of just being able to support themselves. But us, we are looking on Trinidad, and to us, it seems as though Trinidad is doing well. We believe in our minds that when you go to Trinidad, everything is cheaper in Trinidad. You know, to us, when we come to Trinidad, this is to tell you what we are going through in Barbados, right? When we come to Trinidad, we find that your groceries, you know, when we go to the supermarket, we're buying things so far less than what our money is stretching in Trinidad. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm very much aware, and I'll tell you why. The Barbadian economy is primarily based on tourism. So I don't think you have a problem with foreign exchange, like we do. We have a serious crisis with foreign exchange. Plus, you import. I think your food import bill is the primary source of food. Mm-hmm. Now we are not that far behind. We have a $7.8 billion food import bill, which should never happen.
What percentage do you import? What percentage of your food supply do you import?
The percentage? Mm-hmm. Well, let me put it this way. That's our agricultural, our domestic agriculture contributes 1.2% to the GDP of the economy. Mm-hmm. You understand what I mean? 1.2%, the domestic agriculture, that is nothing. And in a country that has, you know, fertile lands and so, the government, especially this government, has never seen it fit to put our farmers under overarching framework where we can seriously, and I'll tell you why, where we can seriously attack that food import bill of $7.8 billion. $7.8 billion. That's a lot of food. That will be more than half of what we would want here as food. And it's not healthy food either. It's a lot of processed foods. We have a growing NCD rate, non-communicable diseases. We have a serious epidemic in Trinidad and Tobago with obesity because our people have stopped eating local because prices are high, both for imports and for local foods, because there's no serious plan to really address that. And I'll tell you why now. Those food importers are mostly made up of the 1% that control the government in this country. So you have people, they have the family names like Haddad, who owns Hadco, really responsible for a lot of food being imported. Sabga as well, Mute as well. All of these are 1%ers, whether it be from the French Creole class, the Syrian class. They control. So they obviously will not like to see that our agriculture, domestic agriculture, is addressed in any meaningful way. You cannot say that you want to address agriculture, and in this budget that just passed recently, you cut the allocation for agriculture. You're not being serious. You're not being serious.
So
So
you're saying that some
our
of
people
these
continue to suffer.
1%
So when you
families,
say
yeah,
when you say that when you come from Barbados to Trinidad and Tobago, your money goes longer. I'll tell you one, because your money has much higher value than the money here in Trinidad and Tobago. What we could have bought in 2012 or 2013 with $100, now you only get 60. It's now $69 of value in the supermarket. It's going down that much. $31 has been whittled away under this government.
but
So
what
people
we're
are really
finding,
struggling here.
what we're finding is that the items are way cheaper than they are in Barbados. So it's kind of tantamount to the same thing.
Yeah, of
That
course.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll find it cheaper, especially your money is stronger. Your money is stronger. The EC is much stronger than the TT dollar in terms of value. So you would have more bang for your buck than we will have for ours. Because I've been to Barbados recently, and yes, your food prices are indeed high, especially if you have to convert the money, and so they are extremely high because you're importing almost all of your food in Barbados. I understand.
Yeah. So what is going to be your plan in the next couple minutes? What is the plan of your the party that's in opposition? What is your plan for agriculture? In cutting that food bill, what 9 point something billion? How are you going to cut that
7.8 billion. No, it's
7.8 billion? How are you going to cut that food bill?
well. First, you have to start off with a public service educational drive to re-educate the people, and this is something normal among governments with a vision. You constantly have to re-educate the people because people quickly forget, and that's a fact. All sociologists will tell you that. So you have to start re-educating them to the importance of eating local. Then, or synonymous with that, you have to bring the farmers together in a meaningful way. You cannot always be in friction with the local farmers. You have to bring them under one overarching policy where you are actually in collaboration with the farmers, in consultation with them. You put the farmers, okay, this is what you are going to produce. You're going to produce yams, cassava. You're going to produce lettuce, pak choy. You're going to produce celery, you have to get that kind. You're going to produce citrus. And at the same time, as a government, you are trying to find them export markets, local markets, to make sure, you're going to have to cut down on pre-deal larceny, which is a big thing in Trinidad and Tobago. That means you have to service the pre-deal larceny units within the Trinidad and Tobago police service. All these things they have not done. At last count, we had maybe 1 or 2 cars that were available if called upon about pre-deal larceny. This shows that this government is in no way serious. I mean, it's an easy fix in terms of policy, but in terms of implementation, you have to have the will, you have to have the guts, you have to have the cojones to say to the 1%ers.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time, and for some reason you're not hearing me clearly. But what I will say is that, I mean, we hear this from all the time. The party that's in opposition, they give us the same answers, to be honest with you, of what they're going to do in terms of agriculture. And then once they get in that 1%er, those 1%ers, I tell you, Senator Naked, they get hold of them, and that's it. That's it. And we don't hear any more about the education. Happened here in Barbados, and that's the end of that.
Well, I certainly hope. I certainly hope that when we have this conversation again, when we are in government, that I certainly hope to prove what you've said they're wrong, and that we are doing something meaningful to contribute to cutting that food import bill. And
Yes.
possibly, but I understand your concern. A lot of opposition parties to talk a good fight. But I am known to be one that whatever I say, I follow through, whether it be getting jailed, fined, or I intend to follow through on what everything I have told you, and
Yes.
hopefully our party will do so as well.
Yes. Thank you so much, Senator Naked. It's always great to have you on, and to hear what's happening in Trinidad, and people are comparing notes and realizing we're in the same boat. My goodness. Thank you so much, Senator Naked, for taking the
You're welcome,
time
Asia.
and
Take
sharing with
care.
us.
Have a good night.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much. Wow. Kimar, good evening. How are you?
Good night. Can you hear me well, Marcia?
Yes, I am hearing you well. I love your background there. So, Kimar, yeah, yeah, you're hearing all that's happening in Trinidad. It's basically like it's our life, isn't it?
Yeah. We operate from the same playbook. Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad, so we are quite in tune, as our regional Caribbean brothers go through the same thing as us.
Yes.
So we should
So we
show
are.
solidarity with them every chance we get.
Yes. And this is an opportunity here now. And Kimar, what's on your mind? There's so much happening in the country. I don't even know where you're gonna start from tonight, but there's so much happening. What's on your mind? Which one of it are you gonna tackle tonight?
Well, first, let me just say good night to you.
Thanks.
Good night to Dave and everybody else, on the Marseille team. I good night to all of the members of the loyal opposition. I'm very happy to be here on a usual Monday. Happy to have Marcia hosting tonight. Missing Ferdy. So
Yes,
good night to you,
you
Pastor
had a
Ferdy.
death in the family.
But my my sympathies to contact him, personally and do my duty. But
Yes.
tonight, there's a lot going on, as you say. Um, I want to discuss something tonight that is, it's obvious, it's right there in our faces, but sometimes we don't sit sometimes to think about things, in the
Mm-hmm.
everyday race to survive, to live, to pay bills, to, eat, to take care of families, dealing with the issues with the government.
Ah,
And we we sometimes don't see how by putting a government in place, how the actions of that government could either build a society
mm-hmm.
or tear down that society.
Yes.
And for some reason, the tear down is not only impacting like us, the regular people, the everyday average Barbadian, the average worker, the average sanitation worker, the average accountant, the average needle worker, the average office assistant. But a society is really in trouble when even the people with capital are impacted and bullied, Marcia, in a way that you wonder whose interests really are,
Mm.
state actors operating in. So an example of that could be Savvy on the Bay,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where we had wealthy Barbadians being bullied by the government.
Right.
Right? We see the impacts of that.
Yeah.
No, it impacted the wealthy person, and it also impacted the working class persons, entrepreneurs who came there, set up their businesses, employed other people in their businesses to be able to, make some money and have a good life. you know. Yeah. Um, we saw that time and time and time and time and time again during COVID when the government came out and said all businesses are supposed to be closed,
Yes.
right? However, big businesses were allowed to operate. Right? When it came to the tours, the not the tours, but I would say the facilities to transport the persons from the cruise ship to the airport, the large store companies were getting the contracts.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's correct.
The large supermarkets, the conglomerates, supermarkets were allowed to open, you know, even within the state of emergency legislation that we had in place. Right? You remember we had a scenario where Hill Milling had a notice put on it to shut down.
Yes, I remember that.
Now, let's put a microscope on Hill Milling. Let's look at the production of Hill Milling. What does Hill Milling produce? What do they sell? Right? So we're going to have a slight microeconomics class tonight, Marcia. But very interesting to pay attention because it touches right at the heart of what we started, where the government policies always shape out to favor the larger investor.
Yes, as in Trinidad they say the one percenters, but it's the same.
Yeah,
It's the same
yeah,
thing.
right. So, as I said, even white wealthy Barbadians are being impacted by this same policy. So it does not discriminate, Marcia, against skin color. The
Mm-hmm.
issues that Barbados are going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a policy, when enacted, even the wealthy, regardless of race, are feeling the impacts of this policy. So just imagine the persons at the end of at the end of that scale. So by the Hill Milling produces what? Indian girl rice,
Yes.
right?
And,
Um,
and flour.
flour, cornmeal, you know,
So
and
basic commodities.
yeah, that I guess assuming margarine, yeah, some other basic, manufacturing it. So the alternative viewers could not sorry, the Marcevics, the lawyer opposition, sorry, could, put any comments, some other things that they produce as well, to help us with
Correct.
the conversation. Right? So during COVID, there was, and they had the health issues. There was a shortage on the
Mm-hmm.
shelves in the supermarket for these specific goods, right? And when you entered into certain spots to see these specific brands, they were not there.
Right.
Right? Remember, these are goods manufactured locally right here at Hill Milling, right there, you know, close to Haggett Hall, right
Right.
here. So when there was a shortage, then somebody has to import from externally to fill that void, right? Because there's no other manufacturing plant who produces what Hill Milling produces here locally, or I should say, if there is not as noticeable in brand as Hill
Correct.
Milling,
Yeah.
right? So, so there's that void. The people still have to eat, you know.
Yes.
So containers or whatever land in Barbados with the same goods at the same time that the government is enforcing a health notice to shut down that plant, right? So you're seeing how a policy enacted through the Ministry of Health, right, in terms of rendering the operation still, how
Yeah.
it creates now a silo for an entrepreneur, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
could be an entrepreneur who has a vision, who has the money. It could be an entrepreneur who's in the government's pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it could also be cross collaboration between like corporate entity and the government,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when the goods are then imported, whatever, then that essentially opens up, as I said, they fill that void in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that will, like, lower the price a little bit.
Yes.
So when the milling comes back into manufacturing, then they have to compete now for market share against overseas imported brand, right? And if the price of hill milling or the hill products go up, then the
Yeah.
average consumer will shun away from the hill product and go to the foreign imported good, right? And then over time, hill milling will essentially be priced out of the market, and then the opposite entity will essentially take over their market share in terms of products being on shelves in specific areas, in terms of uh, takeover of like trade routes and stuff like that. So yeah, so in this side of economics, which is the micro side now, right, which deals with the consumers and pricing or whatever, a government's policy, right, can either assist or you know deconstruct a business's market share. Now let's look at a possibility. Like, if a government had a national policy structured at manufacturing and subsidies for these type of manufacturing plants which produce essential goods which are locally manufactured, I believe, right? I believe that a government should step in to assist that these type of entities survive, right? Survive over the longer term. That is that they are more Barbadian in nature as opposed to always going overseas to import, which would be bleeding the foreign exchange that Barbados has to pay for these things. Right? So let us hope Marcia comes back. But right, so as I was saying though, let us move on to the next observation. Let us focus a bit on the recent impasse between Boycott Ice Cream and the Minister of Agriculture in our rear. So I'm gonna try to, in the meantime, get that on the screen. Let's look at the recent impasse between Boycott and the Minister of Agriculture in our rear. Right? Where accuses Boycott withholding data that could help prevent a chicken shortage. So I am going to show you that article. So we all can remember Baiko ice cream, we all eat Baiko ice cream. And Baiko ice cream has a, well, I have to wait till Marcia comes back to get my, yeah, can you see my screen? Hey. So Baiko ice cream, okay, I can't get the slide up. I gotta wait till Marcia comes back. Baiko ice cream. No. Mr. Indarir, the Minister of Agriculture, accused Baiko of withholding data that could help prevent a chicken shortage, right? And it says Agriculture Minister Indarir has called out local company Baiko for withholding critical data that he says could help prevent a looming chicken shortage in Barbados. With the holiday season approaching and demand expected to surge, Weir explained that his ministry had to reach out to Baiko, asking for specific information on stored poultry that could support local farmers and stabilize supply. However, his written request, Baiko has yet to respond. And Weir said that I picked up the phone and contacted Baiko, asking them to share with me as Minister of Agriculture in Barbados what information they had on farmers, small farmers, for chicken in storage, emphasizing his intent to provide immediate support. No, let us look at something here, right? I want you guys to follow me with this logic here. Baiko, a screen company, recently had competition entering the market. So that competition entering the market was Frosty's ice cream. Like, y'all remember Frosty's ice cream? So Frosty's ice cream entered into the market as a new competitor producing, their own brands of ice cream, getting their trucks, engaging the Barbadian market. We had the opening of the Frosty's plant over there on Layers. Right. So Baiko, facing stiff, aggressive rhetoric from the government ministers. This is a company, that has had to recently face the emergence of new competition as it relates to ice cream products, with the opening of and entering of Frosties into the Barbadian economic market. Right. Now, let us backtrack here. F. Caswell on the show, he will be able to tell you from a labor perspective, that government ministers cherry pick which companies they want to aggressively go after in the media for whatever reasons. Right? There are a lot of companies in Barbados that have serious labor issues, who treat workers with the utmost disrespect and breaking every labor law in Barbados. And these government ministers can't seem to come out to tackle them in any way, but they're tackling specific companies. Right? So let us look at a trend going on here. Tony Moore is in the media often attacking KFC. Tony Moore is always in the media attacking KFC, but you don't see Tony Moore in the media attacking Shafet.
Hmm. Why is that?
I guess given economic analysis tonight, Marcia. You
But
see
the
Tony Moore.
economic analysis, there's some politics in that as well. Why wouldn't what's the difference? What's the relationship with KFC and versus the relationship with Chefette, with the owners of Chefette?
Tony Moore attacked Sandals, but
Uh-huh.
Tony Moore ain't attacked Sandy Lane.
Hmm.
Right.
What do they all have in common? So what does Sandy Lane have in common with Chefette?
Right. No, we're not making any. We're not making any. uh, We're not making any. Assumptions. Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry. Wait.
Yes, I'm hearing.
We're not making any assumptions in terms of the connections between companies, right? But we're looking at how a government minister conducts his or herself in terms of public relations towards companies who operate within economies and countries, societies, right? Good public relations engagement with a company from the government would boost that company's ratings, right? But the way Tony Moore is going after Sandals, that would not boost Sandals' ratings. The way Tony Moore is going after KFC, that will not boost KFC's ratings. The way Mr. Indara is going after Boyko, that will not boost Boyko's ratings. The way the government aggressively went after Hill, that will not boost Hill's ratings. So aggressive rhetoric from a government towards specific businesses within societies, then you need to ask the question, where would the entrepreneur or the brainchild or the person operating, where would their political party loyalties lies if they invested in the government, if they didn't invest in the government, if the government sees them as threats, as non-supportive of agendas. So
You're
we
basically
look at
asking the
bullying
same.
from the
You're
level.
asking the same question I'm asking, but go ahead in a
You're
different way.
muted, you're muted.
No, I'm not. I'm not muted. Something seemed to be wrong with my whole system
Can't
tonight.
hear you.
Yeah, go ahead. Something is wrong with my system.
Whoa, can't hear you at all.
Okay. Can you hear me? You can't hear. Okay. All right.
No, I
Keep
can't
going.
hear you.
I'll go out
Right.
and come.
So when a government is deploying its public relations towards, we looked at government bullying from the level of people, right? From the level of people on the ground with us, the cybercrime bill, you know, the political parties, the churches, the institutions. We saw it from that level. But how about taking the observation now from the level of businesses where this bullying even impacts, as I said, the wealthy? So let us look at Miss Ram. She could be factored in anywhere how a government aggressively deployed its economic strategy and tools to, rip Miss Ram's property for the hire. Right? Still don't know if she's been paid, but right? So I am saying that individuals, the wealthy, who may not be supportive of the government in terms of wanting to be an investor, you know, because we like to label one political party as having the business class and the private sector behind them. And, they're the party for the wealthy and all. But we are clearly saying that that's not the case. We're clearly saying that even the wealthy of Barbados are not safe from the aggressive nature of government's economic policies. So we are seeing the emergence of foreign cultures coming in with the advancement of the international development agenda with the IMF and the IADB and everything. We are seeing new uh, entrepreneurs and philanthropists and development specialists uh, coming in to Barbados, opening new avenues. And these are the people, even in the real estate industry now, these are the people doing the transactions to buy the housings and the lands, the houses and the lands and stuff, and doing most of the international real estate transactions. So I am saying that it is no longer a case where it was average working class Barbadians who against the, and I would say black work against the white private, private sector wealthy class. The middle class of Barbados has been completely squeezed like this, and we could almost say in Barbados that that we are almost to the level of rich and poor, or rich is extremely rich, and the poor, because not even the average rich are being spared the knife of government's economic and overly aggressive strategies. Yes. Marcia, you
Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me now?
oh, we can't hear you.
I don't know what's going on. I went out already and came back. I came back in.
Mr. Newton, could you share a thought if you
There's something, Kimar? Let me see. Oh, yes.
you're not getting, I'm not hearing either the two of you.
Oh, you asked me a
I don't
question,
know
but
if
just like you're having problems, I am having problems too. Could you repeat?
okay, hear you now. Could you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Not as I would like, but I am hearing you.
Are you sure? This thing is not, I don't know. Marcia, could you hear me?
I'm hearing
Yeah,
you.
I can hear you. You just can't hear me.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Newton. Okay, at least we can talk to each other.
No, well, I didn't hear Kimar's question, so could you repeat it for me, please?
No, no, I thought I asked if you wanted to share a thought because I couldn't hear Marcia and she was out of the live at the time.
Oh, well, your contribution has added weight to the point that I made earlier about the turning point. Because and not only is that turning point in Barbados, but as you alluded to, The turning point is in Trinidad. The turning point is in Guyana. It is in Barbados. And as you have rightly pointed out, we are now becoming a two-tier society, the very rich and the extremely poor. And something has to be done about that.
Yeah, I mean, can you hear me, Kimar? Yeah, okay. What I want to say is that, I mean, I've always said it on the show that, I'm seeing where Barbados is right now is what we saw happening in Jamaica. We could remember when this happened in Jamaica. And what it did for us is that it cleaned out the middle class, totally cleaned out the middle class. And so you had the very wealthy, as Mr. Nakid was talking about, that one percenters. So you had the very wealthy, and then you had the poor. And that is what is basically happening. Right now in Barbados, it's a wiping out of the middle class. And what Kimar is saying is that it's that it's even some of the entrepreneurs are getting it. Everybody's being touched by this thing. And the question is, what is the answer really? Is it that are we really going to be losing all of our middle class? Is it that we are being paranoid on the show, or is that our reality, that we are seeing or middle class wiped out? And the truth of the matter for us in Jamaica, it happened through the IMF policies, the austere IMF policies hit everybody. We didn't grow up knowing about middle class. It was that you're dirt poor or you're rich, rich, rich. So is this real? Is this something that we are here and we're speaking about it? Is that we're speaking it into being, or is it something that we're living? And how do we really recover from this?
Well, this is the thing. You spoke about Jamaica, and I don't think many Barbadians know of the experience of Jamaica's IMF program and essentially what it did in terms of, and you were correct in saying what told the middle class. No, the middle class in Barbados, people told you, or the rhetoric post independence was, go to school, get a job, go to university, get a degree, look for a job, and aspire to be in the middle class. And in the middle class, you would own a house via mortgage, you would own a car via car payments. Then you have to get insurance, right? Still take care of self, family. If you're interested in doing additional studies, they still have to be funded. And you have an entire middle class of Barbadians who live on debt
Yes.
and credit card, household debt, right? So the ability to own a house in Barbados for the is so slim that even qualify for the mortgage now is very difficult. And the ones who have mortgages, the you just look at the default rate in terms of people losing their homes, foreclosures,
Yeah.
right? So it shows you that more and more persons are actually dropping out of the economic risk of Barbados and falling back into the category of either renting or moving back into a family home or living in a small accommodation, um, somewhere that may be fit enough but not adequate enough for a proper life. So you have more of that in Barbados. Happened in Jamaica, happens in Jamaica, still happening in Jamaica, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we're headed in Barbados. So districts in Barbados, communities in Barbados that were built on that middle class promise of, the average educated, degree graduate person who lives in the West Terrace and those areas, people who are lawyers and bank managers and accountants, that middle tier, right? Those areas of society, they're under serious financial distress right now and under severe pressure that they're dropping back down to the average working class person based off the inflation and increase in the cost of living, the increase in light, water, the same things that we pay, they pay too, right?
Yes.
And even more in terms of the light bill on the average two-story house is much larger than the average two-bedroom, three-bedroom flat, right? So they're feeling it, they're losing it, Marcia.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to pay or have some more conversation really about the fact that this crisis right now, this economic crisis, is not discriminating in Barbados about who's who and which skin color. Is impacting everybody.
I
What we have,
know.
oh, go
Go ahead, Miss. Go ahead, Nigel.
what we have to do is to take a serious look, a historical look at what is happening in Barbados and the Caribbean. Because recall that the economy and the nations in the Caribbean were developed through sponsorship from like King and Queen Isabella of Spain, who sponsored Christopher Columbus. So William Courtain sponsored persons uh, for Barbados. Okay, and at that time, the country developed along the lines of the very rich or the
Mm-hmm.
rich and the enslaved. Okay, but over time, because of persistent rebellion, the colonists, the rich, were forced to make accommodations to uh, the enslaved, the poor, or the landless.
Yeah.
Okay? And the last one was the abolition of slavery in 1834, 1838. But then um, between 1834 and 1937, uh, the condition of the poor or the enslaved was the same as during slavery. But in 1937, uh, a change came about, and we saw the development. Well, education was improved and expanded, housing was expanded, and we developed beginning in the 1930s, and the middle class grew from time to time and up to what we have today. But now the strategy is, if the being aided and abetted by the IMF and World Bank and others, the strategy now is to bracket reclaim. They are now trying to reclaim what they lost. Okay, hence they are introducing all of these stringent measures, and they are now taking back and impoverishing, wiping out the benefits that occurred because of 1937 and beyond. And we have to pay particular attention to what is happening because it is not by accident. It is a deliberate plan, okay, to take back or to eliminate the progress and development that the poor at the time were able to achieve between 1937 and I would say between and 2018, because as I said, there was a turning point in 2018,
Correct.
and that turning point is at the heart of the pauperization and the destruction of the middle class and Barbados.
Yes. Lemuel Toll is saying, guys, that they saw a video extolling the way Jamaica was able to get out of its IMF program. They made it sound as if Jamaica was an example for all to follow. So, what we're talking about here, Lemuel, it's in the initial stages and how it took many, 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 many years to restore the middle class, because I went back to Jamaica, Kimar and Nigel, and I now see, for the first time, I now see a growing middle class in Jamaica. Is actually happening. I am seeing where students are leaving UWI and they don't want to go to America. America, what? They want to stay in Jamaica. I've seen that, and I'm like totally shocked that they don't want to leave Jamaica. So we are seeing that they did. There's some things that they did to the economy, and they one of the things that they did though, Kimar, is that they cut down on the borrowing, because Barbados, where it's like we're borrowing on steroids. So all of that needs to be studied. I mean, we can spend some time looking at Jamaica, looking at what they, some of what they might have done. Look at even I think, isn't it Antigua, who after COVID, I mean, their economy started to improve even after COVID. Is it Antigua or Grenada? I think it might be Grenada. I can't remember which one. Miss McLean might be able to tell me because she was doing the research on it. And they decided, whichever country that is, they decided that they were going to lower their borrowing.
Mhm.
They decided that, and they're gonna hold it out, and they were, and they saw yeah. Go ahead, Kimar, you're saying something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, luckily, on Alternative Views, we actually did an extensive program on Jamaica's IMF experience,
Mm-hmm.
because Jamaica's finance minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, was selected by the IMF to become the deputy managing director of the entire
Correct.
fund,
Mm-hmm.
and Jamaica's depositor for the IMF, for the reason that Jamaica actually achieved the highest primary surplus in the world, right? In any IMF program, and Barbados is trailing in at second. So that was around 7.5%. Now that sounds fancy, like how it usually sounds when all of the, but that surplus is basically, it means that the government earns way more, Marcia, than it spends. So increased taxes,
Mm-hmm.
expenditure cuts all over, privatization, selling off of lands, selling off of state assets, right? Jamaica went through that extensively for years and years and years. And that turnaround, that turning point, as
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Newton said, came when they had a good government with a solid plan to keep the country on track and essentially trail the country out of the chains of the IMF program.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I dare say that the turnaround began with leadership and an awakened consciousness.
Mm.
People are now beginning to realize the dangers that confronted them, and the nature of the leadership that allowed them to slip into chaos, I may say. Okay. And we have to understand now and recognize that the quality of leadership in Barbados is not good, is not in the interest of the middle class or the poor, but it is simply interested in big business friends, family, and fornicators, and money. But it takes a consciousness and a determination and a deep awakening in the people to recognize what is happening and to muster the courage and determination to say no and to stop what is happening.
Yeah. This is just reading just here reading some of the comments. But Kimar, what are people to do right now? The average family, there's not much money to invest. You know, um, what are families to do right now?
Well, the first thing I it's hard, right? It's hard to accept where we're at right now, but I think as in households right now, we need to speak to each other a lot more about the realities of what really happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mothers speak to the daughters, speak to the sons, grandparents. Um, be engaged again. Um, Take a conscious decision to become more engaged in not politics, but in observing the political process and see join movements, join the loyal opposition, join a party, show some type of resistance to these plans that are rolling out because they are only going to get more stringent. And we need to build the spirit within each other to be able to deploy that resistance to find ideas as to how we're going to survive in the next couple of years. So little ideas, even like if you get a small plot of land somewhere, plant some food. You do backyard gardening. Find means and ways to save bits of money, how possible. I know it's not many places you can cut because things are that tight,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we have to find a way to survive until we can get change. But the change will start with just the resistance. Right? If
Mm.
every man within the household decides that he is resisting, then half the households in Barbados, if they resist, then the government has no choice but to call an election and that the people lost confidence in the government. Like, governments cannot rule over a people who have lost confidence unless they are a tyrannical government looking to rule by strong decree and dictatorship. And that's not Barbados. Right? But we need to start the resistance from now.
Mm. Nigel, what are families, what should families' response be as we close this evening? What should their response be to what is happening to us economically? In our households, every household is feeling something. What do we do? Nigel, you're muted.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry about that.
yeah, we can hear you. That's all right.
Um, I think we need to recognize the importance of intergenerational communication.
Mm,
We also need to recognize the profound significance of intergenerational interdependence. Now, let me illustrate the two. It is only during the wee hours of this morning that a thought came to my mind. When I was a boy, my best friends were very old people. And it came to me this morning, my best friend, an old lady, This year, she would be 134 years old. I knew her when I was a kid. And we were, we sat together and we talked about the days, what happened. And then between 1994 and, no, between 1988 and 1994, I sat at the feet of a elderly couple who taught me what life was like before the 1937 riot and the changes that came about as a result of the 1937 riots. So I am saying if we are to overcome what we are going through now, we have to return to the practice of intergenerational communication. Great grand must be speaking to great grandchild, and so on and so forth. Intergenerational interdependence. We have to come to the point whereby all of us need to come together and help each other, support each other, and build together. That's the first building. That's the first move. And then we must be able to pool our resources.
Yeah. But very, very, very interesting, and I think that intergenerational communication and intra-generational communicate, all of that is helping me at this
Intergenerational
moment.
interdependence.
Yeah, because
Interdependence.
that's how I'm learning to farm. I didn't know anything about farming, but I'm learning from my neighbor who is much, is the older gentleman, and another older lady that just died showed me my first potato slip. I was wondering, what is a potato slip? I didn't know what a potato slip was, and that was during pandemic. And I mean, I was going to school all this time. I was never knew what a potato chip was. And she's who showed me what a potato chip. Now she's gone, but I have that knowledge, and I planted potatoes. I'm trying, But I learned so much from And I came by you and got some cassava sticks from you. So we're all, and I think you're so right. Kima started talking about, us speaking to each other in our homes, having that communication, coming up with a plan, a survival plan within our families. Kima talked also about acknowledging where we are. This is where we're at, and then you added on to that, having that communication, with the seniors and the younger ones, intergenerational communication. I don't know if Rose, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yes, yes. I'll give you the final thought tonight, Rose. On what do you think, or I don't know if you were listening to as we're talking about the economic crisis that we are all in. And we know we're in a crisis because we go to the supermarket and we can, we're counting and we're checking, and our bags are lighter, and we're saying, oh, what am I going to put back this week? What am I going to, what's your suggestions to families? How do we get over this?
Um, I listened with interest to Kimar's contribution, and not necessarily what I would say to families, but I had wanted to share what was told to me recently by a financial advisor. And he, like you, Kimar, and like myself, he has noticed that there is an attempt to obliterate the middle class and keep the poor poor. So, in years to come, it's quite sobering that there may not be a middle class, but there'll be a wide gap between the poor who will remain poor and who will be working hard, but because of being taxed out, because of limited opportunities for mobility, there might be social and economic mobility and prosperity. There might have been graduates and postgraduates with first, second degrees, but they're going nowhere with these. And at the same time, you have a very rich sector who have the assets and who are acquiring, and not only national rich persons, but non-nationals, foreigners, and we're seeing it from other races and cultures. So we'll be trapped in a Barbados where there is no middle class, and if the existing middle class will be aging, uh, dying, having NCDs, as well as the poor class who also, because of not able to maintain good diet, maintain themselves with the basic, that they too will be trapped there. And this is the trend that he pointed out to me. I knew it, but I wanted to hear it from an expert. And his suggestion to me asked, what do we do? And he said that he would encourage any young person at this time, they don't have the collateral enough to secure a mortgage, to if they buy land, they can't build immediately. And he would encourage, I found it quite distressing because growing up, it was always get your own roof over your head. Mother got, father got, God bless the child who has his own. Get your own. And we don't hear it anymore that every Belgian wants to get a piece of the rock. And if you listen good, we are here investing in the rock, foreign investors in the rock, and there ain't no more rock left for the average Barbadian. And those who have invested in the rock, and I say we are challenged even in retirement age to keep that bit of rock out of the hands of the creditors. Do it make sense, Nigel and the others? And his suggestion was that he advises young people not to put themselves in debt to get um, a mortgage to buy land or towards a house, because there can be the possible foreclosure on that and you lose it. But he would tell them, get a nice apartment, rent it, make themselves comfortable, and save, because we're not sure what's going to be happening with the NIS. So get into your own pension plan, save your money. He wasn't even too sure about shares based on how the economy is going and the uncertainty of the economy and the amount of borrowing and debt that we're into. The very persons who have lent us money, I don't know if Kima would agree this, will agree with this, are the very persons who will penalize us and push it further into the poverty line, like the IMF, etc. So that was my contribution. I wanted to hear Kimar's response to this financial advisor who said he would encourage someone in your age group not to go into debt that you cannot maintain. And plus, the high unemployment and underemployment in Barbados might not be kind to you to enable you to maintain and
Yes,
sustain a middle class lifestyle.
yes.
That's my
Their
contribution. So
contribution, right.
I don't know what to
Unfortunately,
say to
yeah,
families beyond that.
that's okay. Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you, Kimar. Thank you, Nigel. Tonight we wish Dr. Ferdinand and his family, as a peace and just just the love of God at this particular time, difficult time. for his immediate family and his extended family. We will see you again on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we
Also,
are, yes.
Yes, please.
but before you go, if you would permit me, I just wanted to say happy birthday to the opposition leader.
Ah,
Yes.
yes, we didn't say
Yes.
that.
Yes, so I just wanted to tell him happy birthday, Mr. Ralph Tarn. You know, we hope you have a excellent birthday. Today's actually my mother's birthday as well too. So
Oh,
yeah, you
wonderful
know.
people. Very good. Thank you, Kimar. I didn't even remember that. Happy birthday, Mr. Thorne, if you are listening. And yes, we wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday to your mom and all the October borns. Thank you all so very much. God bless you. And I say, Dave, I know that Dave has something there to play.
I'm not interested in prosecuting nobody. I tell you this already. I want money.
Wait, say what?
Money.
Whoa!
Money.
Yo!
I want money.
Wait, she really said that for you?
Money. I'm not interested in prosecuting nobody. I want money.
Whoa!
Money.
Whoa!
Money. Money. Money.
Yo!
Money.
You hear that?
Money.
She want money, yeah?
I want money. I want money.
You hear that? She want money, yeah?
I'm not interested in prosecuting nobody. I tell you this already. I want money. Money. I want money.
Boy, she only care about the money. Bye, girl. Bye.
All
Promise
right.
us a better tomorrow. Tell me that the suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. Barbados is too small for me. My pocket full now, you and job they promise me. And a girl like me, want power and more money. You cry transparency, but that's a no for me. Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that the suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down.
All right, folks, have a good night. Enjoy. Enjoy tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Smell the rose.